Hello everyone and welcome to another installment of Zane's View. So today, Zane's View is going to be reviewing, surprisingly, this, YouTube. Now I'm sure some of you say, wait a minute, you're doing a review on YouTube? What do we need to have a review for on this? Because we already know what it is. True. YouTube is basically what it is. It is a social experience or basically a social media now. And what do I mean by that? I'm going to explain it. Firstly, I'm not going to give a history lesson on YouTube. I'm going to leave a wiki in the description box so you can look at it for yourself. I'm only going to explain what YouTube has become, not about YouTube what. I will give a brief description of what that means right now. Simply put, YouTube is similar to MySpace when it first came out. It is a social experience, which it still is. I'm not taking that out of what the formula of YouTube is. But originally back in 2005 when it was first created, it's no different than MySpace. MySpace had its moment. It was a fad. It's gone. Now we moved on from MySpace to Facebook, and now Facebook is still going all right. But now Twitter is the big thing right now. And I believe Google Plus is going to be the next thing after Twitter. I'll do a review on any one of those eventually. But let me focus on YouTube. Originally, YouTube was no different than MySpace, that it was a social media. What do I mean by that? Well, a social experience. I take that back. I'm sorry. A social experience. Then it moved into a social media. Let me focus on the experience first. What you did on YouTube was simple. You could email people, you could throw pictures up, and people could view them. Basically similar to MySpace, but MySpace didn't really have video quality. You could stick it up the same way. But this is where YouTube varied from MySpace, which is now just basically gone. If you still have an account, which I do, I don't use it, it basically is non-used. No one really cares that much about MySpace. It's still used. As far as I know, it's still trying to build up what it lost. From what I understand, some of it now is going into the exotic type of, in other words, porn. People trying to do things through that way. Not saying the others are not doing even YouTube to a point. They have a very strong restriction on it, but this is my understanding about it. But anyway. Originally, 2005, it was a social experience. Everyone stuck videos on there. They emailed each other, told each other stuff, either with family or friends or someone else. Essentially, that's what it was. But it's now moved to a media. Now, explaining media is simple. People who produce videos, which are from friends or from family or from themselves, are producing a product. Product? Yes. This is what a lot of people who are on the YWC don't really either see it or want to accept it. And I'll give you an example. The Off the Rope Show. I've mentioned them twice at least in my original 2 videos. They were and are a very good channel for understanding about sports. Mainly wrestling, but I've seen them do a little bit of talk about football. They also do a little bit of mainly talk about basketball as well. The Slug Daddy, Tasteless Tony T, Mr. Ralph, let me see, Marvelous Mark, Metal D, who there's a question between, I'll get a little talk about that in another video. There's something going on between Mr. Ralph and Metal D, but essentially they're very good when it comes to wrestling. And they have very good followers. A good following right now, and they've done a lot of good videos. About 2 or 3 months ago, they decided to go from just doing videos to try and making a business out of this. And they opened a newsletter. Or they actually created a newsletter, not open, I'm sorry. Essentially, they created a newsletter, and people gave them flack for it because they said, YouTube is open, it's free, no one should have to put any money on here, how dare you? Well, this is what I said earlier, where a lot of people in the YWC don't get it yet. What you produce on YouTube, what you put on there, doesn't matter if you're doing it out of passion or out of ranting or you're angry, is a product. in a sense, you're promoting yourself to be able to be watched. You hope people watch, like they say here, subscribe up above, comment down below. You are essentially trying to promote yourself, no matter if it's just for people just to see and get like self-gratification, or in some cases where you're trying to get any type of money or currency for your affiliate program. That does exist in YouTube. You can get into the affiliate program. I myself am going to try and consider trying to do what's necessary on my page to be a part of the affiliate program. But essentially you can do that. If you're seen enough, if people like what you produce, or hate it, doesn't really matter. If they like it or hate it, it can be recognized by YouTube and the Google affiliate program that's connected to to YouTube, and essentially you can get money through that. It's not much. I doubt you get a lot of money, at least at first. It's possible you can get a lot more. There's a lot of people who've been doing this for several years who I'm sure have gotten a lot of money, maybe more than $200 or $400 a month. I can't be sure if that's true. I did see some videos that talk about it. I haven't been able to track those videos down. They're probably there. But essentially there are people who have done it. Now, how is this talking about the Off the Rope show and them producing a newsletter? Well, this is the next step. The steps are this. You putting your videos up and not being afraid that people are going to comment yes or no about you. Next, if your videos are liked, and understand this, I'm not saying it's easy to make money on YouTube. It's not. You have to be willing to put something out there and be willing to take flack for it. Then it has to be something interesting. And if it's something interesting, if you have enough people watching it, then people that are on YouTube as well as on Google who are affiliated with YouTube will be willing to give you money. Now, if you're really good at it, you can, if you decide, sorry, my face is itchy, can go beyond that, like the Off the Rope show did, and they decide to make a newsletter. The newsletter, I'm unfortunately, because of the situation I'm in, I don't even have a checking account anymore. Even though I can go on the internet, I have a lot of problems because I'm going to be considered disabled soon because of the injury at work. I could not get the newsletter. And the newsletter, from what I can see, is actually quite reasonable. You can spend $2, roughly $1.99, to see if you like it or not, and then you can do like $10 a year or $9 a year, counting on if you decide to do it. Now, people, like I said, gave them flack, which is very silly, for the simple fact that you can do this. There is one person called Wrestling Jesus. He said he tried to make money out of it. I'm not saying how many accounts he has. I'm not bashing the man. Everyone can make their own decision of how Wrestling Jesus had done whatever he's done. But he did have the right to try and produce something that can get some money. So anyone out there can do this. I'm not saying it's easy, but I am saying that this is how YouTube has become. It has gone from a social experience to a social experience / media. So essentially, you're advertising, or in Europe, adverts. You're creating them in the hopes of being seen, in the hopes of being recognized enough that if you're liked about what you say or what you do, because you can put anything up there. You can cook, you can clean, you can create funny home videos where you see people banged up and stuff. You can do what I'm doing, do reviews on stuff. You can do what the Off the Rope show is doing. They're doing reviews on videos of, well, not videos, they're making videos of anything that's being done of wrestling. Look at what happened when they went not the San Gable, I believe the Lou Fez, I believe San Gable Lou Fez Museum. I could be pronouncing the name wrong. Like I said in my previous videos, I'm only a above wrestling fan. I am not really good at it yet. But essentially the museum they're affiliated with, they talk with, I saw them already with their videos with Road Warrior Animal. They already had JR there, which was so cool seeing him with his beard, and he looked good. You had JBL, you had Garrett Briscoe, I might be pronouncing his name wrong, I'm sorry. I'm still getting used to, a little nervous about this, but one of the Briscoe brothers was there. That's more better to say. I've seen the video. I really hope you go and see it because it is really informative how they act when they're not wrestling, because they're really funny people. The thing that people don't know about wrestlers, they're really funny, they're really fun people. And essentially speaking, you can do that. Whatever is interesting to you that doesn't bore you out of your mind, if you think you have a great passion for it, because this is how YouTube becomes more of a business for you than just something you do. What I mean by this, when people produce businesses, a lot of times they do it with passion. They do it because they love it. I know a lot of people saying, hey, I got a job, I don't love my job. True. There's some jobs out there people just do it because they need the money. But there are other jobs out there, or anything that you can produce yourself and be able to create a business. It is so wonderful. You love it. Like with wrestling, with wrestlers. They're very passionate about what they do. They love it. And they do everything they can to promote wrestling and themselves. This is the same for you too. If you're very passionate about what you do, if you have something interesting, and if you're willing to put yourself out there, if it doesn't scare you that you may be criticized, and whatever you produce is really good enough to be noticed, you could make a business out of it. I say this as a person who's trying it himself. This is where the American dream still exists. If you say that the market for the American dream in the United States is gone, this is where it could still work. I believe the market in the United States in general is still there. It's not easy right now. This is no better, but still it's the American dream. You can produce something, and this is how YouTube has become. It has become a social experience still, but it's now also become a form of media that you can create a business out of. Now, I say thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Zane's You. Like I said before, if you like it, subscribe up above, comment down below, and you have a good day.